Hi, I'm Callum from Tyne Valley Motorhomes, and this is a handover on a 2017 Swift Freestyle SE 664. So starting with walk around on the driver's side of the vehicle first. The first point you get to is your freshwater intake. So all your lockers open with this key here. So if you lift the flap, you've got a lockable cap. When it turns like so, it's locked. Take it off, go and buy yourself a hose pipe that hasn't been used in the garden, either the collapsible ones or the normal ones with some hose ends, as it's mainly a brass tap on most sites. Pop your hose into there, wait until it overflows or until you're happy you've got enough water on board. If you were on a site where you couldn't get a hose pipe to the vehicle, or you just didn't want to move the vehicle to the hose, there is a, underneath this cover here, it's very tight fit. But what you can do is, there's a 12-volt pin for a submersible pump. So there's two pins. You put your pins into there, which gives it power. Put one end into here and drop your submersible pump into an aqua roll or a barrel, and it will fill with water. But when filling with a hose pipe, you can even fill until it overflows, or fill until you've got enough water on board, which you can't see on the main control panel. Below you've got your drain for it, so this is your freshwater drain. So if you've taken on contaminated water, you're winterizing, or you just want to let the water out, it's all controlled electrically by a switch above the habitation door. Should the electric side fail, you can manually do it, and this is the same for the waste as well. So you'll notice there's a blue box here. On top of the blue box is a little white lever at the back, and it's like a screw, so it pops up like so, and then you would just turn it, and this will allow the water out because you're manually controlling it. And that's just in case the 12-volt switch or power fails on the motor to allow the water out. You can manually do it. Coming further back, you've got your fridge vents, and then at the back you've got your external shower. So there's a fitting that goes into here. The other end goes to a trigger gun, and you can hose the dogs, the boots, the kids, the bikes off. There's just a cold water feed shower only, and you've got to have the pump on, which I'll show you how to turn on the control panel inside for the water to come through pressurized. And underneath you've got exactly the same with the waste, so it would be controlled off an electric switch above the door. Should it fail, again, lift it up on the back and you can turn it, and you can allow the water out manually. You've got your cassette locker here. It opens with the main key. So first of all, make sure that the blade is closed on the bottom bowl of the toilet, otherwise it won't open. Or should I say, it won't get the cassette out. You can lift and slide. Got some wheels here, so you can drag it to your waste disposal point, which is normally behind or beside your toilet and showering block on your site. And then to empty, remove this cap, press the button, tip out. Once you've tipped it out, you put some water in via the spout, put the cap back on and give it a rinse, and then tip out again. And then what you can do, this cap is a 120ml cap, so you can fill it with the green or the blue chemical. If you're using the liquid form of chemical, put the chemical in and put it back into the vehicle. If you were using the tablets, you'd put the cassette in bone dry, you'd open the blade, flush a pint of water into the cassette, and then followed by a tablet which is in the cellophane form, either of the blue or the green tablets. Most sites now prefer to use the green tablet or liquid to the blue, as it doesn't contain any dye. But ask when booking your site what the best tablet or chemical they prefer you to use. Come to the back, you've got your high level brake light, you've got your bullet style reverse camera above the Swift decal, and then you do have a place where the bike rack could go if you were ever going to fit one in the future. This is where the body has been strengthened, and you do have parking sensors on the bottom of the bumper. Coming round to the passenger side, so at the back you've got your external two 230 volt socket, so if you hooked up to the mains, this will work like every other 240 socket on board. You'll be able to plug something in if you're in the awning on this side. Underneath the bed you've got your storage, so you'll notice you've got your awning handle, your carpets, your boilers under there, so I'll show you a bit more of that inside. And you've got your shower hose. Underneath here is your external gas point, so you get a gas spigot which pops into here, and then you need some gas hosing, so it's orange rubber hosing with some Jubilee clips. Connect that to your Caddock or external awning heater, and then turn it on at the tap, and it'll send gas to here off the main gas on board, so you don't have to carry another bottle with you. So if you're doing outdoor cooking or you want the heater to work in the awning, you can use it off here, but it's mainly for Caddocks and external barbecues. Awning heaters, yeah, should I say, your Truma boiler is behind here, so this is the fumes just allowed out here. So when you've got the awning on, make sure that this is always obstruction free, and it allows the gas fumes out when the heater and water heater is on. LPG, so liquid petroleum gas, this is your gas locker. Again, opens with the same key, the little black key. Push the locks in and you can open it. You can fit 2 6-kilogram bottles in. Before you put the pigtail on, always put the collar on the bottle, which clips over just to keep it secure when traveling. Make sure the bottle's always turned off when you travel and turned on when you arrive on site, as we wouldn't want you driving around with the gas to be open just in case of any impact. To get the pigtail on, so it's no need for a spanner, you just turn the red collar here till it gets hand tightened, and you hand tighten it up and turn the bottle on and off from the top. And then to change the bottle from this one to the other, you can put another pigtail on here and then just change it across, but this one's only got one on at the moment. So if you did put another pigtail on for another bottle, it's a dual control, so you can just turn the bottle over without having to disconnect. And crash valve, so there's a crash valve on here, so if you were struggling to get gas through, press this green button in for 3 seconds, allows the gas back into the vehicle, as it's just a safety feature. Door central locking, mains connectivity point, so to connect the vehicle up, get your hooker bleed, lift the collar and slide on. Hook the vehicle up first and then the power source, as we wouldn't want you walking around with a live lead. You've got your diesel filler on your passenger door, which opens with the main key, which fills with diesel fuel. Tyre pressures on the slam panel, so 5.5 bar to 79.5 psi. Tool kit underneath the passenger seat, which includes a jackknip brace and a tone eye. Engine battery lives underneath this compartment in the cab floor, and then your bonnet release is on the side of the dashboard. So if we have a quick look underneath the bonnet, I'll point out the main features you want to know. So to the left you've got all your fluids, so you've got your screen wash, and this lifts off, and you've got your power steering and radiator coolant, brake fluid reservoir, and then oil dipstick and filler. Paint codes here for the Grigio Ferrero 691, which is a fade colour. You've got your earth, and then for a positive, for a jump start, so you'd earth off there, you just put your positive onto here. Above the habitation door, you've got your 2 switches first for your fresh and waste water outlet. So in the winter it's very important that you drain these off. So to do so, you just press the electric switches down and it'll drain. You'll hear the motor kick in and they'll drain off the waste and the fresh water. Obviously if this didn't work for any reason and it failed, I've shown you outside how to do it manually by using the white button on the top of the box, the blue box. Now coming on to your main control panel. So first of all, you've got your master switch, which is this switch here. This will either turn on mains electric or 12 volt, depending if you're hooked up. If you are hooked up, you'll get the little electricity sign at the top, which you'll be able to see. So if you press that button, it'll turn the panel on and turn the power on. Then on this side, you've got your water pump. So make sure you've got enough water, which you can see your fresh water reading this side and your waste this side. Turning the pump on will pressurise the exterior shower, the internal shower, the taps, the toilet and the kitchen sink. Otherwise you'll just get whatever's left in the lines. You've got your lights. And you've got your awning light at the top. Using the arrows you can scroll through so you've got your Sargent EC620, which is the control panel. Your leisure battery is charging, as it says leisure charging. Your vehicle battery is in good condition. Your solar panel is bringing in this much of voltage, 0.0, because you're hooked up. It'll work when not hooked up, as the hookup takes priority as it's the bigger current coming into the vehicle. You've got 14.3 volts in your leisure battery. 1.7 amp is currently being used off your leisure battery. You've got your internal temperature of 21.1 degrees. 14.3 on your vehicle battery. And then you've got your various other settings. This is all explained in the control panel handbook, but we'll keep it nice and simple. So on, off, scrolls through everything, pump, lights, outside light. Now coming onto here, you've got your digital control panel for your truma. So to turn on and off, you just press and hold, and then this is kind of like standby. So to get in, you just press enter, and you've got the widescreen lights up, and you've got your settings. So in the top left hand corner, you've got a motorhome with a thermometer flashing. This is how hot you want your inside of your vehicle to be. So this is kind of like your thermostat. So you've got off if you didn't want the heating on at all, or you've got to the highest of 30 degrees. So depending on what you want, once you're happy, say at 28 degrees, you would just press enter and save that at 28 degrees. Moving further along, you've got your water. So thermometer and water, this is how hot you want your water. Obviously if you've got no water on board or your boiler's open, don't put your water on, as it's like boiling a kettle with no water in. You're going to burn the element out and potentially break the boiler. So you've got off, you've got eco, which is 40 degrees of heating your water. Hot, which is 60 degrees of heating your water. Or boost, which will turn off the heating to prioritise the water. So for this we'll just say 60 degrees, which is hot. Click enter, and then moving on, you've got which source. You've got gas on its own. If you're wild camping and you weren't hooked up, obviously be heating the water and the vehicle off gas. You've got mix 1, which is 1 kilowatt of electric and gas. You've got mixture 2, which is 2 kilowatts of electric and gas. So this is the biggest source available. So if you are desperate for hot water or heating in the winter months, use mix 2. Give it 20 minutes or so and then turn it on to electric, as you wouldn't want to waste your gas if you were on a site. And then you've got electric on 1 kilowatt, which you need to use on smaller CL sites or abroad, or electric on 2 kilowatts, which you can use on most sites throughout the UK. So for this we'll just say electric on 2. Top right hand corner, you've got the fan, so you can have it on eco or high. Eco takes a smaller feed of 12 volt and is a lot quieter, so if you're wanting to sleep with the heating on, use it on eco. High obviously boosts the heating around the vehicle, so it's a louder fan designed to use the fan speeds at a higher voltage to get the vehicle up to temperature. So for this we'll just say eco. And then in the bottom left, you've got a timer, so you can time it to come on and off. You've got the clock display panel, so the time on the clock display panel. And you've got the settings there, so if you get a warning triangle in the middle, what you can do is you can go to the spanner setting, which is in the bottom right. Click reset, comes up preset, click again and it will reboot this panel. So you'd have to go in and set everything up again as it's rebooted the panel. In the kitchen area, so starting off with your fridge. So this is a Dometic fridge. So you've got 3 sources. So you've got on and off here. You've got the plug, which is mains electric, which makes it act like a household fridge on mains 240 volt. So if you're on a site, you would use this one, or if you were at home and you were pre-chilling it before going away, so a day or two before you've hooked the vehicle up to charge your batteries, you'll also want to put the fridge on. Pre-chill it on mains. Then you've got gas, which you'd use if you were wild camping, i.e. parked in a field with no other source available. You'd use gas, or stopped off at a service station for an hour or so to have a rest from driving, you turned on to gas. And then you've got battery, which works when the engine's running. It's a feed from the engine alternator. So if you've pre-chilled it at home, you've put the shopping in the night before, it's pre-chilled overnight, you put on a battery, and when you travel, it'll act as a massive cool box and keep that fresh. Or if you're traveling from site to site, put on a battery and your shopping should stay nice and edible when you arrive on site and not go off on a hot summer's day. Temperature here, so you just press for the temperature, and then you've got a reset button. Should it fail, you can try and reset it. When you are finished with the fridge for the season, if you clean it out, then what you want to do is you want to press this lug in here on the light, and these two lugs will come out, and then rest the door upon it, and it'll stop the door from locking fully. And what it'll do is it'll allow air circulation in and out of the fridge freezer. Above it you do have your cutlery drawer. You've got your table extension here, which clips onto the table to make it bigger if there was more than 4 of you dining with the carb seats turned round. You've got your draining board, which clips onto the sink, and the cover, which acts as a chopping board. And you've also got two gas taps here, which are for the fridge and the hob oven. So any problems with those, turn the bottle off to be safe. These are mainly for when the vehicle is to be habitation serviced. Got a light switch underneath here. As long as the lights are on, you'll be able to turn that on and off. Two 3-pin plugs when hooked up, and you do have your cup rack and your plate rack. Obviously solar panel, it's doing its own thing. It's flashing to say it's fully charged. Just look on the control panel to see what current is currently coming in. And then you do have your microwave, which is a mains household microwave on 800 watts, so you've got to be hooked up for this to work. And then coming down to your cooking equipment, so you've got 3 gas rings, so as you can see, they're all lit there. Allow it to cool before you put the glass lid down, otherwise it will shatter, and if it does shatter, it gives an almighty bang, so do be careful. Allow it to cool before you put the lid down, because it will give you quite a fright and you'll get glass everywhere. And then underneath you've got your grill and you've got your oven. Storage drawers below, and a bit of storage in here, but your wheel arch is just there, so you don't get much, but you do get a little bit. Opposite the kitchen you have your wardrobe, so you've got your hanging rail, and you've got your status TV aerial. So you've got a booster at the back, so you can min and max the signal should it be too strong or too weak. And then if you were struggling to get a signal, what you can do is loosen the nut off, push the stem out and direct the aerial. But a tip is to look where all the other motorhomes and caravans where you're parked are pointing, and then you shouldn't have to mess on for very long to get a good enough TV signal. Always make sure it's pulled in and tightened when travelling, as you don't want the aerial to sit higher than the vehicle, as the wind could potentially damage the aerial on a windy day. Got a bit of storage underneath and a 3-pin plug so you can charge things on this shelf. In the washrooms you've got your large corner washroom, got your light. This is showing your water pumps working, and the water's getting nice and warm there. Toiletry cabinet. When winterising the vehicle, so you're leaving it, obviously you want to leave it water free, no water in because it could freeze. Remove your shower head from your hose, allow your hose to lie in the shower tray, and leave all your mixer taps open in the middle position to stop any water that's built up in the pipes behind to drain out, and no water will build up in this shower hose so it won't freeze. And it'll also stop any airlocks from occurring with the taps open. Top rate your toilets, so you'd press the blue button for your flush. Always flush the toilet first, which lubricates the blade. Then you want to open it by using the blade handle, which is this grey slide. So slide that to the right, it opens the toilet. Use the toilet with this blade open so everything goes into the cassette. Flush after use and then slide to the left to isolate the cassette, and then that'll ensure that you can get the cassette out. Should it be open, you'll not be able to get the cassette out the outside of the vehicle. You'll get a light on here when it is ready to be changed, so it needs emptying, topped up with chemical and placed back in the vehicle. Windows are very self-explanatory to open, so you just press the buttons, open, and then turn this to keep it out. Blackout blind and fly screen. Hanging rail for your towels, and then you've got storage, and obviously your shower curtain comes across to block the toilet and toilet roll off from getting wet. Underneath the bed you've got storage which you can't access from outside, but this is your boiler, so this heats the vehicle and it does have your hot water container in it. So it holds 10 litres of water at any one time. In the winter it's very important that you drain the 10 litres of water out of here, because if it's really cold and it potentially could freeze, it's going to get very cold inside the motorhome with no heating on, and this water is going to freeze in the boiler, which isn't covered under the warranty and is very expensive to replace. So to do so, to drain it off, there's a little yellow toggle tap down here and it's lying down. Come in with no power, stand that up like so, and 10 litres of water will drain directly out underneath the chassis. Leave that open throughout the time you've got the vehicle stood up. All the taps in the vehicle must be open. The fresh and the waste must be open from outside so the water doesn't freeze in the tanks below the chassis, as all the pipework and tanks on a motorhome are plastic to give you better payloads. So to drain off, make that stand up and then leave it with all the taps open. When you come to reuse it, close all the taps throughout the motorhome, close the fresh and the waste outside, fill with water, come in, put the 12 volt control panel on, put the pump on, go to the cold side of the tap first. You'll get automatic cold water because the pump's drawing it from the main tank below the van. Go to the hot, it's then drawing it from the main tank below the van into here. It's pushing all the air out of here, so it'll cough, splutter, make all sorts of noises. Don't be alarmed, it's not broken. It's standard on every motorhome and caravan until you get a pressurized flow on one tap. Do them all, and then the water system is primed for the season. But ensure that you drain it off, because otherwise you are looking at a costly repair bill. Underneath your side facing bench seat, you've got your AC500 unit. So you've got your system shutdown button here, which acts as your battery isolation switch in the winter if you wanted to drain it all down, or should I say turn the battery all off, stop any power drains. All your fuses are listed here, which are all in there, so it would be a good idea to carry some spares. Then you've got your charger and heating and hot water on mains electric, so just leave them on. If you ever struggle to get your heating and hot water to light on electric, check that this hasn't been turned off, and then you'll be able to use the panel above the door. And then you do have your trip tests, so your RCD and MCBs. If you are keeping this at home, what I'd probably advise in the winter month is just to leave the vehicle on hookup all the time. Don't take it on and off, and don't leave it not hooked up, because you can ruin the cells in the battery, and if the frost gets hold of a battery that's stood on the drive or in storage without it being charged regularly, the battery will then become broken and need replacing. So what I would do is, if you're going to keep it at home, just leave it hooked up all the time, and it'll just charge the battery up when it needs to. So to make the front dinette into a bed, if you lift the table to 90 degrees and then you can lift it off, put onto the bottom rail, but what you will have to do is you'll have to fold the leg like so by pressing the button. Pop it on to the bottom rail by lifting the cushion up at the same time. That'll form the bed base there. And then make sure the pins on the back clip onto the bar. Like so. And then you would slide this out to meet. Put the backrest into there. There's the backrest on there. Infill cushions down here. And that would be how you'd make your front bed conversion. So now in the cab, so you've got your handbrake to your right, and then you've got your electric windows and electric mirror adjustment, so it adjusts both the top and the blind spot. So you've got two adjustments on both sides. Coming down to the right of the driver, you've got your headlight adjustment and rear fog lights. Your wiper stalk has your trip computer on the end, so this will go through the screen in the middle, tell you instant average consumption, your miles per gallon, your travelling times and your distance travelled. You've got your lights and your indicators on the top stalk, then on the bottom stalk you've got off in the middle like it is now. Cruise control brings on the green light in the bottom of the rev count, and then you just push up. Cancel with a foot brake or cancel on the end of the stalk, and press resume on the end, and it'll go back to the last speed you had it set at before the engine was knocked off. On the bottom one you've got speed limiter, so SLD, and then you can press up slowly, goes up in ones, press and hold goes up in fives, and then if you feather the throttle it won't go over that, but if you press it right down to the floor it will override the speed limiter as a safety feature. As it's fitted with the Comfortmatic gearbox, you've got neutral at the top, reverse at the bottom, which if I start the engine, that beeping's just to say we're hooked up. You've got your rear view camera, and then if you go to the right, so if you go from neutral to the right, it'll go into automatic and it'll come up here, auto 1. If you click again it goes into manual and you go up and down, but just leave it in auto. You can either park it in gear or with the handbrake on, or park it in neutral with the handbrake on. It's up to you. ASR off is another word for turn your traction control off. You've got your hazards. This locks the doors including the habitation door, so it locks all three. Heated mirrors, USB and 12 volt for charging, USB and auxiliary for the radio, and then you've got your temperature on the outside ring, fan speed on the in. Must be on at least fan speed 1 or more for the aircon to work, which is this button here. Then you've got your distribution on the outside ring on this side on the right, and whether you're bringing fresh air in or recirculating air on the bottom. Head unit, so it's FM, AM and DAB. You'd press 1 to 6 to save your favourite channels. Media doesn't take a CD, so it would either be Bluetooth audio, USB or auxiliary. And then to connect your phone you would press phone, pair a phone, add a phone, and you want to find Uconnect on your device, make sure the pins match, press pair. Then you want to allow your contacts to be saved, and this will download all your contacts into your phone book. Volume on and off, And then to black the driver's side window and passenger side, you've got your silver screens which just press onto these press studs, and then the windscreen you just pinch, slide these out, and it's just on a magnetic strip in the middle, and they'll meet in the middle, and that would be how you'd black the carb out on an evening.